What's going on, everyone? We got some breaking news in regards to Deshaun Watson and the suspension. This morning, was a hearing in regards to Deshaun Watson and whether he would be suspended, which former federal judge Sue L. Robinson has ruled Deshaun Watson should be suspended 6 games for violation of the NFL's personal conduct policy. And the NFL even released a statement, which I will read as follows. We thank Judge Sue L. Robinson, the independent disciplinary officer, for her review of the voluminous record and attention during a 3-day hearing that resulted in her finding multiple violations of the NFL personal conduct policy by Deshaun Watson. We appreciate Judge Robinson's diligence and professionalism throughout this process. Pursuant to the collective bargaining agreement, the NFL or the NFLPA, on behalf of Watson, may appeal the decision within 3 days. In light of her findings, the league is reviewing Judge Robinson's imposition of a 6-game suspension. So this is big. I mean, we were wondering how long was Deshaun Watson going to be suspended, what was going to end up happening. And many people thought it was going to be at least a 1-year suspension. Many people thought, it could be an definitive suspension. And I mean, Deflategate, right? That was the big thing that a lot of analysis and stuff were bringing up. They were like, Tom Brady got suspended for 6 games because of that. So why wouldn't Deshaun Watson be suspended for the entire season? And the thought process even going into this was that it would have been anywhere from a 2 to 8 game suspension. Many people thought it would be higher, closer to the 8 games. 6, it's closer to 8 than 2, but still, for what he did and for what the magnitude of this was, many people think that this is a drop of the ball. Once again, the NFL showing that they don't take this stuff seriously and that they don't, that they're willing to let something go as deflated footballs and really try to punish something like that. But you're talking something that impacted countless women. The Houston Texans had to settle, 33 lawsuits? Stuff like that. It's just, it's mind-blowing. But from the football side, this is a sports channel. So getting to the football side is Deshaun Watson will appeal, very likely, his 6-game suspension. He doesn't like the ruling, his people, and it's just your due diligence, right? You want to, regardless, do it. Worst case that happens is they say no, and you get 6 games anyway. So it doesn't hurt to appeal. Best case, you get cut back a couple games. But the problem is, Deshaun Watson is the quarterback, or he was supposed to be the starting quarterback. In 6 games, you're talking almost half of your season. So what happens? Who's going to play quarterback for the Cleveland Browns? Well, first off, they traded Baker Mayfield, right? And that would have been great to hold on to because at least Baker, he at least knows the system. He has won and led this team to the playoffs. So you could have had Baker just come in and it would have been business as usual. And then in 6 games, you trade Baker and then you bring Deshaun in and that all works out. It's kumbaya and the world is right for the Cleveland Browns. But now Baker Mayfield is on the Carolina Panthers. So what quarterbacks do they have to substitute in the meantime until Deshaun Watson can come back? And they have Jacoby Brissett. So Jacoby Brissett, he is a guy that has, starter experience. He's a guy that has been a backup in this league for many years. He's a guy that, played a season with the Indianapolis Colts and was pretty solid. He's not an elite quarterback. Not a guy that out of those 6 games, I don't think he's going to go 6-0. But, at that point, if you're the Browns, you're just trying to tread water until Deshaun Watson comes back. And then your hope is Deshaun Watson comes back and then you guys can go on a run once Deshaun's back. And he's going to have, that chip on his shoulder. He's going to want to prove something. He's going to come in and just be ablazing for this Browns team. And I still have my questions with that, if I'm being honest. Because, look, Deshaun Watson was an incredible talent, right? From the moment he was drafted, he looked like a guy that could change the fate of your franchise and was just like, wow, I can't believe this guy's that good. But here's the problem, is that, one, no matter how he plays, everything's going to be foreshadowed by what has recently happened. And then, 2, he hasn't played football in a long time. And it's like, how good and effective is he going to be? Because, I mean, even in practice, there was footage of him in practice, and he was just missing his targets and just overthrowing people, throwing short, stuff like that. He's got to get in the repetitions, got to get the reps and stuff like that. Okay, that's fine. But practice is much different than real life games, real life interactions. And now you're talking about throwing him into the fire after another 6-game suspension when you thought he was ready to go. So if you are the Cleveland Browns, and let's say you are 2-4 by the time Deshaun Watson can come back, and he needs 3 to 4 games to fill this out and get back into the groove of the NFL, you might already be out of the playoffs before he's even ready. Because at that point, you're what? You're like, let's say 3-5, something like that. Or it's just, you're in trouble. Like at that point, you basically cannot lose another game the rest of the season. And Deshaun's still trying to work it out. Like it would be terrible. This is terrible for the Cleveland Browns. Like they basically, it very well could be that they just punted the season this year by going and getting Deshaun Watson, when instead they probably should have waited to see like what was the end result, like what is going to happen in this deal. Houston just wanted to get rid of him. They were like, look, this was a disaster for us. We had to settle 33 suits. Like, here, just take this. Like, here you go. Here's Deshaun Watson. And the Browns were the team that were silly enough to say, we'll take our chances. And now look what had happened. The Browns are slowly falling apart. Baker Mayfield had a aneurysm and lost his mind and got upset and was crying. They ended up having to trade him. Now Deshaun Watson's suspension comes down and it was 6 games, which is, again, that's very light. Tom Brady, for inflated footballs, got 6 games. And it's just like, you're telling me that all that he's done, he didn't get. I mean, even if you're the NFL and let's say you give a 1-year suspension and it gets appealed and that appeal goes through and they appeal it down to like, let's say 4 games. You did your job as the NFL. Nobody could say anything. That's on the committee. That's on them. Like that has nothing to do with us. If you're the NFL, if you're this Judge Sue, you have to give an definite decision, or you have to give at least a year. Like, that's the only way you could do this. Like, pick one. What do you want? He's suspended until we decide otherwise, or he's suspended for at least a year. That's what the answer should have been. Not this like, oh yeah, I consider it 6 games, this, that, and the other. Because again, it shows that the NFL doesn't take stuff like this serious. We have seen countless athletes in the NFL do some horrendous things, and in some cases, not even get suspended. But somebody breaks a silly rule, oh, that's it. You're banned for life in the NFL. It's like, so, and I understand it's a sport. Okay? It's a sport. They have rules. They want to keep the integrity of the game, stuff like that. Absolutely. When Tom Brady got 6-game suspension, I had no problems with it. Okay? You violated the rules, you broke the rules, you cheated. All right, cool. Suspended. I get that. But it's still football. It's still a game. What Deshaun Watson did is not a game. That was real life. That was real life implications. That happened to these women. Maybe not all of them. I mean, there's a lot of, there was a lot, and when it starts getting like that, it starts being, hey, like this is starting to get a little crazy. So either this guy is the biggest serial, whatever, or like this is getting a little carried away. But regardless, whether it was all of them, there's at least a good majority of them are probably right? Is it possible that there were some that were just, oh, this is a cash grab moment? I'm sure. I mean, that's why they were able to dismiss so many of them. But he still got charged with a ton of them. So it's just like, as many as he was able to get rid of, at least, a large majority, more than it should. I mean, it shouldn't be. The number should be 0. But it's a lot greater than that. And how can you look at that and go, yeah, that's not that bad. We'll just give him 6 games. Like, he violated some NFL rules, stuff like that. And I understand they're not the law, they're not the court, they're not that. But they are responsible for their league. And they are responsible to set examples in their league. And they are responsible for the players that are in their league. Because this shows and continues to be a precedent with this organization. We've seen NBA players get kicked out of the league for less. Still to this day have not came back. It's just we've seen that. Look what's going on with Mikal Bridges. No one wants to touch him. Nobody. Look at Rondo. Look what happened to Rondo. Boom. Nobody wants to touch him. But when it comes to Deshaun Watson, you got teams lining up to sign him. And it's because teams know the NFL doesn't care. The NFL's like, whatever. Yeah, he made a mistake. Hey, Deshaun, hey, come on, man. Don't do that again. All right, you learned your lesson? All right, cool, man. Don't worry. We're going to give you a 6-game suspension. You're going to appeal it. Probably get dropped to 3. Don't worry. Have a good day, man. It makes no sense to me. But we see it time and time again with the NFL. The NFL just continues to do these things. Every time one of their players does something horrific and horrendous, they just kind of sweep it under the rug and they just say, okay, that's it. You're suspended for a game. These players, that's a big deal. No. At some point, the NFL needs to show a precedent. At some point, the NFL needs to say, all right, Deshaun, you were a star in this league. You're still young. You have a lot going on. Enjoy life without football. Take care of yourself, man. You're suspended in our league, and if you appeal it, the ruling is the ruling. Hate to break it to you. You violated multiple things. This is a serious matter. This is something that you shouldn't have done. So hate to break it to you. Set that precedent. Watch how quick a lot of these stars might change their tune. And it shows that the NFL doesn't play around. The NFL is now proving that you decided to go and make a decision to ruin some of these women's lives, if not all of these women's lives. So good luck to you. The NFL doesn't need you. But no, that's never the case. They never do that. We have never seen them do something like that. It's always like, hey, we all make mistakes, man. Don't worry about it. Hey, 33, man, don't you think that's a little high? What do you mean a little high? Come on, it just blows my mind. But nonetheless, here we are. Deshaun Watson gets a 6-game suspension. The Browns are going to run with Jacoby Brissett. Hopefully they win a couple games and then Deshaun comes back and then they're in the mix of things. I'm going to be very interested to see what happens and develops when he comes back and how this all plays out. Obviously, again, he's going to appeal it, so we'll see what ends up happening over that 6-game suspension. If it gets rescinded, if it gets dropped down, if it gets, whatever ends up happening, we will find out. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think about Deshaun Watson getting a 6-game suspension? Do you think it's justifiable? Do you think it's not? Do you think, no way, he should have been, suspended at least the full season? Again, if he gets suspended for the full season and it gets appealed and overturned, the NFL did their job, right? We gave him the max suspension, right? We did what we were supposed to do. Whatever. At least you can use that as hey, look, we tried to give him, a longer suspension, but they overturned it. That I understand, but they didn't do that here. You got a 6-game suspension. And it's sad. It really is. It's sad because there's so many people that were affected and impacted by Deshaun Watson's decisions that there should have been more. Should have been a bigger implication. But and then fines and stuff. I didn't even talk about the fines because it's 47. He doesn't care about those fines. Those fines mean nothing. So it's the suspension. But, again, what do you think about this whole situation? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. I have to be, as a YouTuber recording these videos, you got to be really cautious on what I say. So if anyone's watching this video and it's what is going on? What do you mean? Just look up Deshaun Watson and you'll see all the information. It's just YouTube's very fanatical about certain words, certain phrases, certain things that I say. So I'm trying to tiptoe around all that stuff. However you feel about it, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.